What's going on, guys, and welcome back to Supper in a Can. It's season 6. We're back at Committee Room in the Merchant City, and I'm joined by this week's very special guest, Glasgow's #1 shopkeeper, Sanjeev Kohli. Welcome to the show. Now, Sanjeev, without further ado, let's get a munch.
Just ride with it, like, go and get live with it.
Guys, I'm buzzing to announce the show is now brought to you by Tempo, a brand new can with 7.5% and 2 banging flavours to choose from. They're perfect for prees, they're perfect for gaffs, or if you're just like me, you can pair them up with a chippy. You can get them now at convenience stores nationwide. Right, Sanjeev, welcome to Supper in a Can. We've decided to get into the food a bit because we have been waiting, but how do you feel to be in Committee Room number 9 this fine evening? Morning, in fact. Afternoon.
I'm happy to be fish adjacent at any time of day or week. I love, I'll admit scampi's not a go-to, I prefer a fish supper. I like a battered haddock. I wouldn't say no to a breaded hake, but I do love fish and chips. And these aren't chippy chips, are these? Are kind of French fries, but I love both.
I'm all for it, to be honest.
I'm here for both. It's weird how the way you cut a potato can totally change its vibe.
What's your thoughts on the new KFC chips? You tried them?
KFC is one of my go-tos. Now, are they triple frying them? What's the deal with the KFC chips?
So the thing is with the KFC fries, as I've seen, they've upped the seasoning.
Okay.
So they seen that they were slacking, and they're like, do you know what? We'll add a little bit of spice. And I think in terms of the ranking, they've upped their place. I don't know if they've trumped McDonald's just yet. I think they're still just below.
But what do McDonald's do to that? Isn't it just like deep frying McCain's? Isn't that all they do?
I think there's something in McDonald's. You've never seen those videos where it's like POV what happens after a McDonald's when you leave it for 24 hours.
I don't want to.
Nothing happens to it. Just stays the exact same. It gets a bit floppier.
Aye. So it's like they could send them to the moon.
Oh, 100%. It's coming back, and the chips still like that.
McDonald's chips should be astronauts.
Potentially.
I like a Burger King chip.
Oh.
Have I just crossed the line there?
Oh, what?
Really?
Burger King.
I like a Burger King chip. What have I said? What have I done?
No, that's bizarre. And not just me personally, I'm not into Burger Kings at all.
At all? Not even the burgers?
I'm not a fellow Whopper.
I like a Burger King. And I think McDonald's they upped their burger game, didn't they?
Again, I'm not, like, see if I'm getting McDonald's, I'd need to be starving to get a burger. Like,
Really?
That's the last resort for me. Under chicken nuggets. I despise chicken nuggets.
Okay. Only because you don't know the provenance of a chicken nugget.
Yeah.
You know you're
What is
eating
that?
eyelids and arseholes. Yeah.
This is the real game changer, but right, Taco Bell chips. It's a shame the Taco Bell in town's a bit of a risk going in there past 8 o'clock at night, but
It does feel like if you're not buying drugs, you've not got, you know what I mean? It's like, I feel like if you buy a quesadilla and a baggie, it feels like the pressure's on, isn't it? It's where it is, isn't it? Saki Old Street's just taking a nosedive, isn't it? I'm 54, I remember when Saki Old Street was the place to be, and it's just a tragic what's happened to Saki Old Street.
Is that where you would go for the
Absolutely
dancing?
I wasn't ever invited, but even just going up the town on Saturday, that's where the clothes shops were. There's a place called Chelsea Man. It was Chelsea Girl and Concept Man. And in like mid-80s, they were the places to go. It was just like one of your destinations when you went to town. I would have this set route I would do Saki Old Street and then Argyle Street, and then end up on Queen Street, a place like Flip of Hollywood, which you won't even have heard of.
What's
Was
that
the
entail?
best second-hand kind of rock and roll kind of Levi 501s, check shirts, really good second-hand vintage gear. Now I just go to TK Maxx. Everything is sorted.
Solid.
Yeah, Saki Old Street though, honestly, it's tragic what's happened to it. It's like a family friend has died,
Crazy
or it's
downfall.
on its deathbed.
There's been a lot of new updates going about in Glasgow. I don't know if you've seen, but like there's been scaffolding getting removed.
Finally.
Yeah. So on what's the street? Ingram Street. We've seen the takedown of just across from Goma, right at that corner. That's finally gone, which is drastic. The one I'm waiting for though is Union Street.
Yeah.
Those have been up for wow.
Yes. It won't look right without scaffolding. It's been up so long.
But if Union Street will never look great.
No. I mean, if you're near a train station, things happen near train stations. Illicit things, illegal things, things you can't unsee, usually happen near a train station, and that's unfortunate. It's just the way it is.
When you were younger, your mum and dad were both teachers. Is that correct? At one point.
Well, yeah. So my mum had sort of taught primary school kids when she was in London, and then she retrained as a social worker. My dad did retrain as a teacher. So by the time we got to Scotland, my dad was teaching in the Listee School, St Mary's in Bishopbriggs. He was teaching bad boys that were too young to get into prison. So it was a hardcore. And he was
Serious
this
stuff.
turban Sikh. So again, you know, like you're trying not to stand out and be different. He was this turban Sikh teaching some really, really hard nuts. But the thing was, whenever I met them, they were absolutely lovely. Because back in the 70s, if I was ill off school, my mum couldn't take me to the, because by this point my mum was running the shop. We had a shop.
Battlefield.
That's right. Yeah. We were Asian. It's in the small print. You had to run the shop for a bit. In Battlefield, you're absolutely on the nose. So I couldn't go with her to her work, but I had to go with my dad into basically a prison. And you know, it'd be ka-choom. It was like 3 locked gates, and then you're in this classroom with these boys, and they all love my dad. All right, Mr. Kohli, son, how you doing? We love your dad. But the joke was for any make or brand of car, one of them could break into it. Aye, Dylan does Volvos. See, Dixie, he does Vauxhalls. And totally brazen about it. And really, you know, it was quite a good insight for me. I lived a very middle class bubble, right?
You went to St Al's, yeah?
I went to St Al's, yeah. I mean, my folks didn't have much to start with, but they worked really hard, and they really wanted us a good education.
That's what I was going to say. I've
Yeah.
seen you talk about that before, how
Yeah.
like your education, both
Yeah.
to your mum and dad and
Yeah,
to
yeah.
yourself, was very, very important
Yeah.
since young. That was kind of drilled into you.
It was a very kind of Indian middle class cultural thing. But the point I was making was that growing up in Spam Valley, growing up in a Wimpy Semi in Bishopbriggs, going to a fee-paying Catholic school, I was obviously sheltered. And then I'd go into the school and you'd meet these boys, and any prejudices you had would just dissolve because they were just nice boys that had made bad choices, or maybe didn't have the family structure that you were lucky to have, you know. And it was the same with my mum. She was a social worker, so
So my big sister does.
yeah. So when we had the shop in Battlefield, my school, the primary school, was nearby. I would go and help my mum in the shop for a couple of hours, which is where my obsession with corner shops comes from, which we can discuss at length. And then we would drive home to Bishopbriggs in my mum's Volvo, right? And we had to cut through kind of Postle, basically, just near Postle. So we stopped at lights, right, near Pinkston Road. And this boy wraps the windows on his bike, and I'm like, Mother, there's an urchin wrapping the window in my green uniform and my national specs. So Mum puts the window up. What are you doing, Mum? All right, Mrs. Key, how you doing? It was one of our social work clients, whatever the word is, right? He's maybe 9, he's on his bike. Hi, Mrs. Key, how's it going? That's your motor? That's nice, yeah. And how you doing, Derek? All right, you know, getting by. And she said, and how's your brother? Oh, gas him after glue now, so we'll keep an eye on him. No, he's all right, he's getting by. And then the lights turn green, like willing them to turn green. Right, all the best, Mrs. Key, is that your boy? All the best, wee man. Car goes off, right? And I'm like, his wee brother's just off the glue. Yeah, how old would he be? 6. Again, just brings it back that I had a very, very privileged upbringing, and also just to try not to judge people. You know, because I get judged for different reasons. You know, as a son of an immigrant, you get judged for different reasons, looking different or sounding slightly different. But it's the same with class. You know, I've got this weird dichotomy whereby I'm the son of immigrants, but also middle class. So I need to watch if I maybe prejudge people. Do you know what I mean? It's important for everyone to just try and see past the boxes that society puts you in. You know. And that got very heavy very quickly. I do
apologise. That was good. No, I like that. You went on to get a maths degree. Is that correct?
It's starting to become X-rated. Covered myself in tartar sauce. Ooh.
You wanted to be a doctor?
That wasn't the original plan. So I, at the age of 12 or 13, because you know what it's like in Scotland. Because I'm guessing you're the Nat 5 generation, or are you the standard grade?
Yeah, Nat 5. No, Nat 5s.
So I'm actually the O grade generation.
It's results day today.
It is. You're absolutely right. What'd you get?
Oh, fuck off.
No, you could feel a tension in the air. Middle class mums looking over shoulders. You know, it's like when you're, I guess, at the end of second year, you're picking your subjects.
Yeah.
So then at the age of what, 13, 14, you're projecting forward to what you think you might do for a living. At the age of 13, come on now. I think you know my favourite crisps. I mean, I know now it's Pro Cocktail. It's up there. I mean, I don't. To be honest, I've got like a top 4. Pro Cocktail, spring onion, pickled onion, and then you got your posh Ridge crisps, which is a whole other arena.
The M&S ones, they're good. Oh yeah.
Even just your McCoys, your steak McCoys. But point is, so I'm 13, 14. All my mates are like, I don't know what to pick for my subjects. So I thought, right, if I choose to be a doctor now, A, it'll keep a lot of people very happy. not just my mum and dad, but also the community. But also, my eyes have always been a bit of a problem area. I'm very, very short-sighted, not just figuratively, actually short-sighted, actually myopic, like -9. Bats talk about me. But I've also got, that prick can't see too far in front of him, as a bat flies into a tree and I walk in a car. But I also got glaucoma, which is like high pressure inside my eyes, which I found out later nearly blinded me. So my eyes were I was always in and out of the ophthalmologist. So I think I thought to myself, I'd quite like to be on the other side of the machines when I'm older. So, and I knew I could get the results because I was that guy. I mean, I was brainy SWAT. I mean, I couldn't talk to people, but I could do exams.
You could do the book.
Aye. So that's what I decided. Picked all the science subjects and got my hires. Got into Glasgow Uni Medical School, and within 2 days I knew I'd made a mistake. But what am I doing here? I don't want to be a GP or a surgeon or anything else like that. Great timing, Sanj. You just spent 6 years getting here. But then I switched to maths because I liked maths and I was good at maths. And women find it really sexy. No, they don't.
Standard division.
They really don't. But I just like maths, and I thought, well, it's a decent degree to have because, like, people. Well, also people think that, rightly or wrongly, think you've got an ordered mind if you're mathematical. There's some element of truth in that, but I thought I'll do maths, and then so that's what I did.
So with maths, there wasn't any kind of set career plan. It was just like, I'll get maths and that will get me something.
And then I'll make a decision. So I really loved uni. That was where I found myself. Went to Glasgow Uni, and that was kind of where I found my voice. That's where I started saying things and people were laughing. I'm like, oh, hello. So I'd watched loads of comedies.
Yeah, Neighbours. You liked watching that, no?
Do you know, I did like watching Neighbours twice a day. That wasn't where I went from a comedy. But look, because I didn't really socialise much, and I'm not saying woe is me, but the thing is, if you go to a private school, your class is scattered across the whole of the west of Scotland. So, I lived in Bishopbriggs. The guys I wanted to hang about with lived in Bearsden or Muirend or Clarkston. So I'm pretty much making my own fun. And that involved watching millions of television. Anything music or comedy related, I would lap it up. Whether it was good or whether it was shite, I would. And I come from a family, my dad, who passed away last year, he was a very funny guy who could tell jokes. My mum's got a great sense of humour. Punjabi culture generally is quite loud and brash and there's a lot of laughter. So we would sit and watch all the sitcoms, all the sketch shows, everything that was on. We'd tape them on VHS. I've still got like a box of tapes that's in my mum's attic. And obsess about comedy. Never thinking I'd have ever be involved in the world of comedy. Just as a consumer, just enjoying it. I became known. There was a show called The Young Ones, which came out in 1982. I was 12. I obsessed about that show to the point where I became known as the Young Ones bore in the playground. Did you see what Rick said in The Young Ones last night? And everyone's just like glazing over. Like, why is no one obsessed about the show like I am? So when it came to getting to uni, I guess I just had almost by default become funny from watching loads of funny. Yeah, I think so. I think it just seeped in by osmosis. And then, people are actually listening to what I'm saying. And that, so I became known as sort of a witty guy. And that's really what led to me getting into the media, was someone that I went to uni with.
Was the friend that got out?
Yeah, that's it. That's Uzma. Yeah. She was, I describe her as the Asian that escaped because she got into the media. Didn't do like the bog standard engineering and maths, medicine, law kind of deal. And she was the one, she said, look, I remember you from uni and you were quite witty. But she was the one really that spotted it and then got me to audition for this radio show she was producing. And that was the start of it. I mean, it wasn't a comedy show.
Magazine show?
It was a magazine show. So the idea was you could do dark and light. You're interviewing pop stars and serious politicians. And I loved it, and I was good at it.
It's good practice for you.
It was very good practice. And also, I was learning in the dark because nobody was listening to the show. It was fantastic. You could make all your mistakes without anyone knowing. And
it's like a test run for you almost.
Pretty much. Given that it was a career path that I never envisaged, it was nice to have a go. Think, maybe this is for me. And then, because I just started to write my own links, I'll put jokes in just to amuse myself, because like I say, nobody was listening. And that got noticed at BBC Scotland. So then that's what really led to Off the Ball, which was...
Yeah, you were the first
producer. I was the first. I was one of the first co-presenters. I actually auditioned to present Off
Yeah,
the
you
Ball.
auditioned it in 1994.
That's right, and I didn't get the job, but Greg
Greg did.
Hempel got it. That's where I met Greg. So Greg was a presenter, I was a regular, me and Tam Cowan, and Ian Ross was another really funny guy. We were the sort of kind of studio guests, and that was really my first comedy gig. But I didn't see myself as being a comedian or a comedy writer at that point. But then the show changed its format, and I was binned as a presenter, fair enough. Because I think the show needed... I liked football, but I didn't go to games.
Right.
Because, I was scared. Through the 80s, a wee brown guy got to football? I don't think so. When the casuals were running things? Nah.
Really?
So, and also my dad had less than no interest in football, so it wasn't like I could go with my dad to the football. So I never used to go to the games, but I used to love the culture of football, but they needed someone that actually went to games, and I thought, fine. I always felt a bit out of my depth. I couldn't talk about going to Tynecastle. I'd never been to Tynecastle. So it's a bit of a kind of cheat to say that, So, but the show changed format, and it spun off into a kind of talkie show and a sketch show. And they said, look, would you be interested in writing sketches? And I'd never written a sketch in my life, but I'd watched 5 million. So I thought, well, I must have learned something. So that was it, really. That was my sort of breakout into comedy.
And the sketch one you're talking about, is that Chewin' the Fat?
Chewin' the Fat, no, so Off the Ball or On the Ball was the first one. And then I got a reputation as someone that could write comedy. And then at this point, I was kind of finding myself in meetings for possible sketch shows and whatnot. And then the comedy unit, the production company at the time, had got in touch. And by this point, I'd met Ford and Greg and knew them a bit. And even at that point, 97, you could tell these guys they had something,
They had
individually and as a double act, just geniuses. On a kind of global level, I'm thinking, you guys are bigger than Glasgow, you're bigger than Scotland. I remember thinking that.
Yeah.
And for the two of them getting together, I thought, watch out for these guys. So they'd got a Radio Scotland, it's a radio sketch show called, this thing called Chewin' the Fat. And it was a live thing on a Saturday during the close season. So when the football was off, they had, I think, 6 of these shows on a Saturday, but I think 2 o'clock or whatever it was. So they drafted me in to produce the show, because I had a bit of experience of radio production as well as presenting and writing. And thought, yeah, brilliant. There was no producing to be done. The guys wrote the whole thing. I was there with the stopwatch pretty much. And so not a lot of people know this, but the reason the show that everyone knows now, Chewin' the Fat, the half-hour TV sketch show, the reason it's called Chewin' the Fat is that when I used to produce it back in the day, the format was that Ford and Greg would be themselves and would chew the fat. They would chat about stuff, and then they'd go into a sketch, and then they'd play a tune, and then they would chew the fat, and then they'd go into a sketch and play some music. So it actually made sense, Chewin' the Fat. And then that format...
They took that off because it's still in... I don't know if it's the ones on YouTube, but for people watching, because I've always wondered, and I only found this out when I was doing my research on you, because you said it, but there's the wee, maybe the first half an hour, not first half an hour, what am I talking about, first 30 seconds in Chewin' the Fat, where it's Ford and Greg, and they're sitting in the couch, and they've got their own hair, and it looks like a pure 70s gaff, and I always used to wonder, what is this?
Yes.
Because this is the first thing, I only realised a couple of years ago that Greg was Canadian, and I was like, mate, why is he putting on the mad Canadian accent that he does? I was like, what's going on? And then it goes into that. But when I was... So you just say that's why. So when you're watching Chewin' the Fat and they have kind of, what would you call that, intro?
Yeah, I guess you call it, yeah. So it went from the radio show was an hour live with the chat, sketches and music. Then they truncated it, still on the radio, to the chat and sketches. And then I became a writer. That's when I started writing sketches, and then when it went on the telly, I think only the first series had that chat element.
Yeah.
But I think they quickly realised it wasn't working. It just felt a bit static, just two guys chatting. It's like, well, that feels like radio on the television. Why don't we bin that and just have half an hour sketches? But they kept the title Chewin' the Fat. So it must, I would imagine, I knew the genesis of the title, but people must have been like, what's
I
the
just thought
Chewin'
it
the Fat?
went, I just thought, I've always just thought Chewin' the Fat was just like talking shit.
Yeah,
Just kind
well,
of
yeah.
I guess just...
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm doing this, but I just mean...
No, exactly, yeah.
But what we're talking about now, is this before or after Pulp Video?
After. So Pulp Video was, I'm going to say 96, because it was called Pulp Video in homage to Pulp Fiction, which I think was 95, I want to say. So Tune the Fat started the year after, 97, on the radio, and they end up on the telly, I think 99 or 1999.
Tell us about Donnie McCleary.
Yes. So Donnie, I call my writing wife. I met him 3 months before I met my actual wife. And he's been a guy that I've written on and off with since 1997. He's possibly the funniest guy I know. It amazes me. He just sees all the angles. He can be funny in so many ways, just stupid ways, really clever ways. He's very well read. I met him basically. There's a show called Weekending. It's not on the go anymore, but it went for years. It was a Radio 4 sketch show, a topical sketch show,
Right.
made in London. And with the advent of the internet and all that, you could be a non-London based writer. For a while it could only be London based writers because it was a weekly show. It depended on that week's stories. So there wasn't time to send sketches by post. But by the time I was a comedy writer, you could write for Weekending. And occasionally it would come out of London. So it came to Glasgow for a few, like 2-3 weeks maybe. And the producer at the time got all the Glasgow-based writers together. Now, I hadn't been writing for long. I'd been writing for maybe 6 months. But I got invited, and this guy, Donnie McCleary, got invited. And we're in this room, and I just remember thinking, I've never seen a more bitter and twisted collection of individuals than these guys. All like really angry guys. Guys that got a lunch hour off the work at the bank. Furious.
Stockbrokers.
Aye. And then this big friendly dude in a denim shirt chewing his pen top, and it was Donnie. I just remember thinking, I don't know who he is, but I like him. And he was incredibly funny. And we met up afterwards, and it turned out that we all liked the same things. We're into the young ones, we're into Monty Python. And he said, do you want to write something together? I said, well, I don't know how that works, but why don't we? So he was staying with his folks, lovely Robert and Jan in Rutherglen at the time. So I just drove out to his gaff in Rutherglen, went to his room, and he had like this antiquated computer, and he said, do you want to write a sitcom? I said, again, don't know how that works, let's give it a go. And we just, between us, we came up, we got the title first, Scottish Widows. So that was like basically an assurance company, a big ad campaign at the time.
Yeah, I was going to say, is it not still?
It's a thing.
It's like the cloak.
Yes, that's the one. I wasn't sure if you would know, because you're
No,
about a third of my age.
Oh, I know.
So we thought, well, why don't we write a sitcom called Scottish Widows? It's all women who are all widowed. So basically all the husbands go out on a fishing trip and die in the same fishing trip. And they leave these Scottish widows. And it's like generational women in this house. And we wrote this absolute batshit half-hour pilot. I mean, it's never seen the light of day.
It sounds like a good plot.
But no, do you know what? It was a really good premise. And I remember thinking, Donnie and I have got a chemistry here. You know what I mean? We're quite simpatico. We're not exactly alike, but we've got enough in common that we can get things going, but also we have slightly different, like I love my music, he loves his science fiction. So we've got kind of different angles. And so that came to nothing, but what it gave us was, it was almost like a calling card. So we could send that off to people and say, look, we've written this pilot.
We know what we're doing.
And that kind of led to other work. And so Donnie and I, we wrote and sketch shows together. We used to write Tune the Fat sketches together.
Well, one of my favourite Tune the Fat sketches, I only found out recently.
It's my mum. Do you want it? No. No, we did grow up in Bishopbriggs. Mum wasn't lying. We did. No, it wasn't Lindsay. That's what you tell your friends. Okay, bye.
But you wrote one of my favourite still game, Tune the Fat sketches, which is The Individual Foot Trifle.
Yes, very proud of that. Very proud of that.
And not many people will know that. I don't
No,
think.
I don't think they do. I mean, it's
very ironic. You wrote the shopkeeper.
It actually isn't ironic. It's the opposite of that. I'll tell you why. Because I think I probably put it out into the universe that I'm obsessed with shops. I mean, even before that sketch, I had written a sitcom pilot called The Nation of Shopkeepers. And the idea of that was, and it got recorded as a pilot for Radio 4. And the idea was that all the shopkeepers in Britain were linked. And this is pre-internet, you have to understand. This is late 90s. Oh, it's not pre-internet, but before it became a thing for everyone.
It was big, yeah.
So the idea is that all the shopkeepers in Britain are linked and are used as a kind of network by the government, by Interpol, because there's a shopkeeper in every town. So it means you've got this brilliant link that they can use. So for example, if the Treasury wanted to, they could say to the head shopkeeper on the network, drop the price of Crunchy by 1 pence for an afternoon. That would affect the economy. And in this particular, I know it sounds, it's just
that's
I
a
love
good
that
idea.
idea. Because if we did all talk to each other, we could bring the country to its knees. Imagine you just decided to stop selling cream eggs, there'll be riots. So in this episode that I wrote, the idea was there was going to be a big drugs drop, and the government wanted to do a sting operation. So all the shopkeepers talked to each other to manoeuvre them into the shop for the big drug drop, and then the police came in. Anyway, so it never came to anything. But I had at that point, see, my thing about shops is that there's a few things going on, but one of them is you know everyone's business, whether you want to or not. Okay, they know your business just because of what you buy. So I've always said, for example, that if you go into a shop and you buy like a puzzler book and a Lucozade, that's a hospital visit. That's all that can be. Or if you go and you buy like a chocolate hobnobs and a box of Nambari tea, you're either gonna have a wee night watching Countdown or you've got a guest, or if you buy a copy of Razzle and a tub of Utterly Butterly, then put some gloves on before you hand the change over to the dirty bastard. But the point is that you can always project what people are doing.
Yeah.
And the other thing is about shop is you are trapped, and I know this from experience, is that you cannot get anyone to cover your shift. So if you want a dental appointment, you have to plan a good few months in advance. And the thing is, shopkeepers need dental treatment the most, because I know from my experience firing cola cubes and chewits into you, you're
Cola
like,
cubes.
oh man, cola cube. How do you know what a cola cube is? You're 5 years
cubes
old.
and sour plums.
I'm
Top.
Can
Come
I get
on.
some of that for the old school sweets?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're trapped. So there's the two things going on, and that's what I channeled with the lonely shopkeeper. One, she knows your business. Two, she's lonely. She hasn't got any pals.
So good.
But the actual very first sketch, Lonely Shopkeeper, was based on something that happened to me. So I had not long been seeing my girlfriend, who is now my wife and father of my 3 children. Mother of my 3 children. You know, we're all gender fluid now. Mother to my 3 children, Fiona. So we'd not long been out, and I was going to impress her by making a curry, because that's what you do.
Oh.
That's the deal. That's the deal sealer. If you can make a curry that slaps, then you're in.
You're in.
That's it. That unlocks the door. So I chopped my onions and I'd all my spices lined up, and for some reason I didn't have turmeric. Now you're a man of the world. You know.
Oh, if you need.
Any
some
kind
turmeric.
of Indian, Korean, Malaysian, Cambodian curry, you've got to have turmeric. It's one of the building blocks.
One of the big 4.
It's one of the big 4. So I thought, I really, really hope the shop on our street has got turmeric, has got a spice rack. So I went and found the spice rack, bought the turmeric, made the curry. It obviously worked, because like I say, we're 3 kids down, so it was a success. So I'd made a pile of curry. It was a Saturday. Made a pile of curry, had leftovers on Sunday, and Fiona had her own plans, so I was on my own on Sunday. I've got, and curry tastes nicer the second day.
Oh.
So I'm like, oh, this is the Sunday of your dreams. I just need to get something to mop up the curry with. So I go to the same shop and I get a packet of pittas. So I'm in the queue. I remember thinking, and it was the same woman that served me, that had sold me the turmeric the previous day. So I thought, she must know exactly what's happened here. Because I've been in buying turmeric,
And
I
then
can
the
only
next
be
day,
making a curry, and the
yeah.
next day I'm buying pita breads. He can only be eating that curry. So if you watch that sketch, that's exactly what it is. It's Karen saying to Paul Riley, who's got a packet of pita bread, saying, "Thought you buying pita breads? That's nice. Because you were buying turmeric, weren't you?" And he's like, "Aye. I thought you'd make a wee
didn't
curry."
watch it,
And I said, "That's nice, that's you. Eating curry and that. I love curry. I don't get a chance to eat curry. Stuck in my shop day after day after day." Here's a plan. Why don't I shut the shop and then come and join you for curry? And she's like, "Get lost, you psycho." So that was really the whole,
So good.
the essence of shop, and then the whole individual fruit trifle cheesecake thing. I was just obsessed
You loved
with
them,
those.
aye.
Because if you think about it, and someone only pointed this out to me recently when we were chatting about this, he said the whole thing about a trifle or cheesecake is
It's shared.
pals getting together and enjoying this, calorific, high. We individual trifle like that, no pals. They got killed
Just
myself.
adds to
It's
an
it's
extra-
probably a lot of people's last meal. So it's the tragedy of it.
Mm.
But the other thing as well is Karen Dunbar can sell anything.
So
she
good.
is
An icon of
one
the show.
of the funnest humans in the universe. I've not been to Jupiter, but they'll be struggling to find anyone funnier than Karen Dunbar. So I didn't even write it with anyone in mind. I just written it. And I guess in my head it would be a guy, just because I'm a guy.
I think it makes it even better.
But then they gave it to Karen, and she absolutely
nailed
just
it.
fantastic. So it was lovely that people noticed that sketch. It was just nice.
I liked it.
But yeah, that was the sort of the beginning of my ability to appreciate shops in the public domain.
Well,
first of any.
You've brought up the shops. It's been coming, but
Master.
you were one of the best shopkeepers that Glasgow's ever seen.
One of the best.
If not the.
Thank you.
I don't.
I mean, there's not much competition, but you know.
The guy in my local, he's pretty solid.
Well, what I'll say is.
But
Yeah.
he IDs me sometimes. I'm not a big man.
I will ID
this.
Nabday. I will sell anything to anyone.
Do you
in
think
character.
Naveed would have sold vapes?
Yeah.
But was he doing them for a fiver, or was he a $5.99 kind of guy?
$5.99.
Yeah.
I think he would see the vape as the magnet that would draw you in, and they'd try and hit you with a secondary sale. Actually, maybe he would
go
drop
for
it
the
to
2 for
5.
10.
Yeah, 2 for 10, and then, oh, by the way, V-Man, you want a shubber dib dab? Take the edge off. He's all about the secondary sale, isn't Naveed?
But that character, I've heard you say that when you're speaking to Ford and Greg about it, Ford found your dad really, really funny?
They both met my dad, but I'm pretty sure it was Greg that said to me, when you impersonate your dad, it's really funny. Because I still had to audition for it. Because I think they wanted me to play Naveed. But, I mean, I also, at that point, bear in mind, I've been writing maybe for 4 or 5 years at that point.
When did you audition? 2001?
When it started?
Well, no, it started in 2002, so
Yeah.
would you have auditioned the year before, or was it even earlier than
Probably a few months before we started filming. I hadn't done much acting. I mean, I'd been in my own sketch show, but I didn't, at that point, I felt a bit like a Johnny-come-lately, like an untrained guy that's suddenly writing and suddenly acting. So I needed to audition as well to prove to myself that I'd gone through the
You'd
proper
worked it,
channels,
yeah.
that I wasn't just being given this. So it was good for me to get the audition. And also they needed to convince the producer, because they said, look, we find you doing your dad funny, but Colin Gilbert needs to find it funny. He's producing the damn thing. So thankfully we got through it, and I've absolutely rinsed my dad. It's just, he's so easy for me to, to impersonate. And basically, if you imagine Naveed with a turban, that's my dad.
Did he get it? Like, did he find it funny?
I think, oh no, he loved it. He loved the
Yeah.
show. And I never got a chance to ask him whether he knew how much I was cannibalising him. Because the thing is, it wasn't the words. I mean, Ford and Greg write every single word
Yeah,
of the
it
show.
was like
Every single word, to everything.
What about when you were speaking in a different language?
They give you the lines in English, and then you. Because that was a very interesting conversation I had. Because my Punjabi's terrible, right? So, the first time Naveed has to speak Punjabi, I think, do you know what? I mean, it actually chimes with what we're talking about with Naveed. On a more serious note, is that I think it's very gratifying for me that people, they might not meet an Asian in their life, but Naveed feels
That
real.
was their first
Yeah.
interpretation of it, and to what you were saying about people judging by a book.
Yeah.
They would do the opposite.
Well, do you know what? I would see this when my mum worked in the shop in Battlefield, right? So Mum's about 5'3", kind of Punjabi-looking woman with the shalwar kameez and the dupatta and all that. And they would come in, and you could see this slightly like, this is a different world. I don't know how to talk to this person. And then my mum's English was better than theirs. And it got to a stage where, after about a year, because she had a background in social work, she was helping them fill out forms and stuff. And I saw that. I saw that interaction. I saw that you've noticed that she's got more in common with you than is different. I'd say 90% maybe. In common, and that hopefully is what Naveed does. And I love it, honestly. People say, do you not get bored of people shouting Naveed at you? You say, well, why would I? He made an impact, and people find him funny. Can only help race relations, especially now. Some of the shite that people are coming up the road to tell us. Reform. Oh, don't start me. So that's been a lovely part of playing Naveed and kind of breaking through, I think. And you'll have seen that, going to multicultural school, it's like we're all the same, really.
Yeah. Well, Sanjeev, it's been an absolute pleasure to share this up with us. A special shout out to our newest sponsors, Tempo. Thank you very much for coming on board with the team. And we've got a lot from news coming soon. And from you guys at home, we'll see you guys next week. God bless. Thank you very much.
Peace out.
Just ride with it, like, go and get live with it. Niggas don't like me cause I'm nice with it. And the girl gets hyped to it in that deep hit when I'm